Alright, hey there guys, what's up? It's all about Mike18 here with another review. This is going to be, however, not a regular movie review. This is going to be a full-on spoiler-heavy review, which is why I'm filming with my webcam instead of my normal video camera. And in this video, guys, I am going to be discussing the newest, highest box office grossing film that came out this weekend. And I saw it, and everybody saw it, and everyone was hyping up this movie so much. You guys know what it is. It is X-Men Days of Future Past, or as I like to call it, easily the best X-Men film in the franchise so far. But anyway, guys, yes, I made a promise earlier when the summer movie season started that when all the, like superhero and all the summer blockbuster films come out, I wanted to try to start doing spoiler-filled reviews for all of them, and that's what I am going to be doing. I did one for Captain America the Winter Soldier, I did one for Amazing Spider-Man 2, and now I'm doing one for Days of Future Past, because, I want to talk spoilers. I want to talk more in-depth about the movie with you guys, about things I couldn't talk about in my regular movie review. So real quick, I'm on IMDb right now on my phone, and apparently X-Men Days of Future Past made $90.7 million in the 3-day weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend, so it'll make more tomorrow, Monday. So it'll make around 105, 107 million. But then overseas it made 171 million, so far 261 million globally this weekend. That's insane, and you know what? I feel this movie deserves every single penny. So yeah, guys, this was Memorial Day weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend with your families. I know that still Monday, tomorrow, still the holiday, the actual holiday. But I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. I definitely did. I hope you had, a good cookout with your families or something. Hope you enjoyed that. But anyway, yeah, so as you guys didn't know, I'm going to be going heavily with the spoilers, going to go in-depth with the spoilers of X-Men Days of Future Past. So if you haven't seen the film yet, I gave you guys a couple days before I put up the spoiler-filled review, so you guys can see it and then watch my spoiler-filled review. So I'm assuming a good majority of you who watch my channel have already seen the movie. If not, that's okay. Just don't watch this until you have watched the movie, because I am going to ruin everything for you. And trust me, this movie is no fun if you know what's going on going into it. So basically, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm basically going to sum up the plot, but going more in depth. I'm going to explain a few things that I didn't discuss in my spoiler-free review. Then I'm going to talk about a few scenes or plot points or things that they did in the movie that I really liked. I'm going to basically discuss some of the best parts of the movie, and then I'm going to discuss a few little nitpicks I had with the movie. But other than that, basically, as you guys know, my rating stays the same. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I've only seen the movie once, but that's fine. I don't need to see it twice to do a spoiler-filled review. One time is suffice. Believe me, I would see this movie again. I just can't. I have too many movies to watch, too much money to spend for other movies, but I can only watch Days of Future Past once. So anyway, getting into the basic plot of Days of Future Past. First off, something that not bothered me, but something I guess would have liked to have seen more. Earlier in my regular movie review, I said that I liked how the editing was so good, and this is honestly one of the best parts of Days of Future Past, how well fast-paced the movie was. And while I do like how they just cut right to the point and they showed us what was going on in the future. The Sentinels have basically taken over. They're exterminating mutants. There's a small group of mutants surviving all of this because of what Kitty Pryde is able to do, in that she can send a person back in time through time travel. You can send a person's mind back in time to erase the events of the Sentinels attacking them, so they would all live. And it's shown in one of the opening scenes of the film where they're at some place. I want to say it was Moscow. I don't remember though. There's a whole band of X-Men that are fighting off the new and improved future Sentinels, and she sends, I forgot who she sent back. I think she sent back Bishop. Yeah, she sent back Bishop. Meanwhile, Iceman, Blink, they were all fighting off the Sentinels, and they all got killed off. But once she sent Bishop back in time, it undid all of that. But anyway, while I did think it was cool, they jumped right to the point. They got right to the point that the Sentinels are attacking, that things are going terribly in the future. I feel that they could have shown us some more of the future state, because apparently that's the only group of X-Men alive, that group that Kitty is with, with composing of Iceman and Bishop, and then of course you have Storm and Xavier and Magneto and Colossus, I forgot Colossus, and Wolverine, of course. But I wanted to see like how every other mutant like that, like they could have shown us a little bit more before they cut right to the point. That's something I started thinking about as the weekend progressed. But anyway, they all meet. When I mean they, I mean Kitty, Iceman, Storm, Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X, they all meet Colossus, Blink, Bishop. They all meet at someplace in China, and the problem is the Sentinels are tearing things apart. They're killing off mutants. They need a way to stop them, and the only way is to send someone back in time years ago, and I'm talking at least 60, 50 years ago, back into the 1970s, 1973 specifically, to prevent the unleashing of the Sentinels. And the only person, and I liked this part of the film, the only person who can survive the trip back in time is Wolverine, because he can regenerate. Because Professor X was all willing to go, but he wouldn't have survived. Kitty even announced that. She's like, I can send a person like 10 days or whatever, 10 years, whatever she said, back in time, but I can't send someone back in time like 40, 50 years. They wouldn't survive it. But Wolverine can, because he could rejuvenate, and I really liked that part of the film. That made Wolverine's character very important to stopping the unleashing of the Sentinels in the 1970s. So it turns out that the reason why the Sentinels all got, the Sentinel program was greenlit, it was a go, was because of what Mystique did. The man who set up the Sentinel program in the 1970s was Bolivar Trask, and once Mystique found out, Mystique catches wind of the fact that he's experimenting on mutants, and this really upsets her. She kills Trask, played by Peter Dinklage, and this sets off a chain of events. The government finds out about this. They get upset. They now realize mutants are a threat. They just killed off the guy who's working on the program. So they capture Mystique using her DNA to further evolve the Sentinels. They then unleash the program to start attacking the mutants. And that is where the X-Men see themselves now in the future. So to prevent all of that from happening, Wolverine has to go back in the past to stop Mystique from killing Trask. And in order to do so, he needs to get the help of the young Charles Xavier and the young Eric Lenger. Eric, who is being held captive in the Pentagon for a crime I can't wait to discuss, and Charles, who's kind of damaged after the events of First Class. As we all know, in the end of First Class, Charles and Eric had that fight on the beach, and Magneto deflected the bullets that Maria McTaggart was firing at him. One of them hit Charles, thus paralyzing him, and Magneto and Mystique, they all abandoned Charles. And that was a very crucial blow to him. So now he's very damaged now after the results of First Class. So Wolverine's got to get back into the past, get the two of them to work with each other to stop Mystique from killing Trask, thus stopping him from unleashing the Sentinel program, stopping the green lighting of the Sentinel program. So that's basically the whole plot. So that's exactly what happens. Kitty Pryde sends Wolverine back into the past, into 1973, and he wakes up and he's got to find Charles, he's got to find Magneto, and then he's got to find Mystique. And of course they're going to use Cerebro along the way, and that's where we get into the movie. Now that's basically the overall plot. Now I want to get into a few things, plot points, scenes that I really did like about the movie that I'd like to discuss. Some of my favorite scenes of the movie. First off, I think I want to ask you guys this question too. What was your favorite scene in the whole entire movie? My favorite scene is easily the scene at Paris when the Americans and the Vietnamese were meeting to negotiate the end of the Vietnam War or whatever, and Mystique pretends to be one of those Vietnamese officials, and Trask comes to the meeting, and his mutant detector goes off in the meeting and reveals it's Mystique. And meanwhile, at that time, Wolverine had gathered Professor X, Magneto, and Beast, and not Quicksilver. I'll get into Quicksilver in a second. And they meet up at the scene in Paris, and they have to stop Mystique, and they do. They're this close to stopping her, but she gets revealed to the public, unfortunately. And because Magneto wanted to kill her at that point to undo everything, to definitely ensure the fact that the Sentinels wouldn't be unleashed, he tries to kill Mystique, and Magneto at that point really messed everything up. They could have easily just captured her or just convinced her not to do it. He held the gun up to her and wanted to kill her, and that's why Mystique jumped out the window or whatever, however she got onto the public, how she got onto the outside, and Mystique and Magneto goes after her, and he's sucking, he I forget how he pulled her to him. I think he used something metal on her, and he was pulling her to him, and that whole fight scene, then Beast goes after Magneto and they're wrestling around in the water. That scene was so awesome. It was tense, and another reason why I really love that scene was because Wolverine was rendered sort of powerless, and he sort of forgot where he was because he saw the young Stryker, the young William Stryker, and that hurt his memories. It triggered something in his memories, and it affected the future Wolverine as Kitty was sending him back in the past. It affected him. He like slashed Kitty. She started bleeding heavily, and it rendered him powerless in the past. And Xavier had to like talk him into it, like explain to him what was going on, because Wolverine completely forgot where he was. I love that whole scene. It was tense. The score was great. It was excellent. Now, the scene before that I also really enjoyed was the Magneto breaks out of the Pentagon scene, and Wolverine, Beast, and Xavier enlist the help of Quicksilver, who I thought was awesome in the movie. He had some really funny lines. There were most of the funny scenes in the movie happened with Quicksilver, and easily the most crowd-pleasing, best scene with Quicksilver was the scene where the Pentagon guards are shooting and firing at Magneto and Wolverine and all of them, and what's his face? And Quicksilver, like how fast he is. He like runs around the room and he like changes the guards' positions. He moves the bullets, the rubber bullets or whatever. It was so funny. He moves one of the guy's arms to punch himself. It was so funny, so well filmed. Bryan Singer did a great job with that scene. So entertaining. The reuniting of Charles and Eric was great in my opinion, because at first he was like, oh, I can't believe I'm seeing this guy years later, and then he just punched him right in the face. And that whole scene before that, the shot before that, where he's like, I don't believe in violence, and then he sees Eric and he just punches him right in the face. That was great. Also, another thing that I want to mention before I forget, this is a little bit of a problem I had, and this correlates with what Wolverine did in that scene with Quicksilver. He has his bone claws. I felt that was a little unfortunate that he had his bone claws and not his adamantium claws. I know this was set in 1973, and technically the events of Origins did not happen yet by the end of but in this movie, Origins had not yet happened, so he had his bone claws, so he didn't go through the adamantium program yet, and he didn't get his adamantium claws. That was a little upsetting. He was a little weak against the Sentinels because he had his bone claws, and I found that very disappointing. But other than that, I moved on. I got over that. But anyway, I love that breakout scene out of Pentagon. That was so awesome, so funny, well filmed, excellent. Now the other scene, one of the big final climax scenes took place at the White House, where Magneto raised the stadium and put it around the White House, and he planned on killing off Nixon and all of the other Secret Service agents in front of the cameras, because he once again changed his ways and felt that the humans are trying to take out the mutants. I'm not standing for this. As Magneto has always felt, I'm tired of the humans trying to get rid of the mutants. This is it. This is bullshit. I am going to take them all out, and that's what he planned on doing. And then he unleashed the Sentinels on the crowd and on Wolverine and Beast and Xavier. And I thought that scene would have been a hell of a lot cooler had the Sentinels been given more to do. And I thought it was pretty cool how he controlled them by throwing those like metal spikes, like connecting those spikes through the Sentinels. I thought that was pretty awesome. That was all great. But yeah, he wanted to kill off Nixon and all of them because he felt that he was tired of having the mutants suffer, of the humans wanting to end them, to kill them all, with the Sentinel program. And it was pretty cool how Mystique, as the president comes out and Magneto's about to shoot him, and she fires the rubber bullet at him, and it stops him from going to kill the president or whatever. And then Xavier, and they finally accomplished their main mission, which was to talk Mystique out of killing Trask, which she was about to do in that scene, at the end of that scene. Meanwhile, Wolverine was flung into a river. Magneto flung him into a river, and Beast was like getting the crap kicked out of him because of the Sentinels. But that whole scene was pretty cool. Now, another thing I'd like to really briefly discuss was the whole thing with Magneto and murdering Kennedy. I thought that was actually genius. Now, I watched Jeremy John's movie review of Days of Future Past. I thought it was pretty, and he mentioned this, and I didn't realize this at first. It's pretty cool how the X-Men movies take real-life events and throw them into the movies, but, work with those real-life events to incorporate them into the story of the movie. Because in First Class, it turns out that the real purpose of the Cuban Missile Crisis was for Sebastian Shaw to send the world into a total nuclear war so the mutants could remain dominant or whatever. And in Days of Future Past, there's two historic events that are referenced. One of them is Kennedy's death, because we all know that curved bullet that ended up killing Kennedy. They said in the movie that Magneto was the one who killed Kennedy because of the curved bullet, because he could control bullets. And I thought that was pretty awesome. But it turns out Magneto confesses the truth as to what happened. He was accused of killing President Kennedy. It turns out he was trying to save Kennedy because supposedly Kennedy was a mutant, and obviously Magneto was trying to save him. I thought that was really cool how they incorporated that into the movie with the whole thing with the curved bullet. It was genius. I really, really liked that, which is why he was being held captive in the Pentagon. Now, the last scene in the movie I of course want to discuss with the fact that the end of the movie and the fact that Mystique did not kill Trask, and as a matter of fact she ended up saving the president and the Secret Service agents from Magneto, and that was all televised, and that is what leads to the shutdown of the Sentinel program. And I think they arrested Trask for something. I forget why though, but that is what eventually stops the unleashing of the Sentinels on the world. And that was what Wolverine had hoped for. However, when he went back in the past, his main goal was to just stop Mystique from killing Trask. However, she not only did not kill Trask, but she saved the president, made the mutants look better than they did, because Magneto was trying to kill the president, and that is what stopped the unleashing of the Sentinels. Now, as soon as that scene ended and Wolverine wakes up in the in the school, with all the other mutants, everybody's okay. We see Rogue, we see Iceman, we see Storm, who were all being previously killed off in the future. They were simultaneously being killed off in the future as the scene at the White House was going on in the past. And because the Sentinels arrive, Storm gets killed off. Those scenes were very brutal. Magneto gets killed, Storm gets killed, Iceman gets killed, Bishop, all of them get killed off, and that scene was really brutal. And I thought for a second, holy crap, they're all going to be dead. Then I realized, oh yeah, Wolverine succeeded in his mission. Mystique didn't kill Trask, made the mutants look good. Therefore, the Sentinels were never unleashed, undoing all of that. And when Wolverine wakes back up and he starts seeing all the mutants that were initially killed in the future, I realized, holy crap, he undid everything. And then we see Jean and Scott, Cyclops and Phoenix, both of them in the school, and they're talking to Xavier or whatever. And I was like, holy crap, that's right. Everything that Wolverine did, everything that happened as a result of Mystique saving Trask and the president and all of them and not killing Trask, that negates all of the X-Men movies except for First Class, meaning X-Men 1, X-Men 2, Last Stand, Origins, and the Wolverine. All of that is undone because of all those movies never existed, basically. And while that is a little upsetting when you think about it, all of these scenes in those movies don't matter now because everything started fresh now. Everybody's alive. Everybody is okay now because of what happened in the past, because they changed the past. And while I thought, oh, that kind of makes the first few movies like a waste, you know? It undid all of them, basically. So, well, that's a little upsetting when you think about it. Those movies don't matter now. But I still think that was cool that Jean and Scott still are alive by the end, because it undid the wrongs that Brett Ratner did to X3, The Last Stand. Because you don't kill off Cyclops. He killed off Cyclops. He killed off Jean Grey in the end of that. And I'm very pleased that they went that direction to keep them all alive, and everything is done. What's the word? Everything is negated. All of those previous X-Men movies are negated except for First Class, because First Class happened before the events of Days of Future Past. So that negates everything. And I thought that was pretty cool. Bryan Singer redid the wrongs of the previous X-Men films, and I gotta applaud him for that. And I thought it was pretty cool because now Jean Grey and Cyclops, they're all back and they're all alive, and I thought that was pretty awesome. That's why I loved the ending of Days of Future Past. It was genius in my opinion. Real briefly, the post-credit scene with Apocalypse. I know that the new villain in the new X-Men movie, which is titled X-Men Apocalypse, is going to be Apocalypse himself. The post-credit scene was pretty cool. I didn't get it though because I haven't read the comics, so I personally don't know that much about Apocalypse. So I guess it was pretty cool. A lot of you thought it was cool. I didn't because I didn't read the comics, but that's me. Now, getting into a few brief issues, just a few things I want to mention. A few of these I already did mention though. The one thing that I didn't particularly care for, Kitty Pryde, and I know this was sort of a convenience just to get the characters back into the past. Why does Kitty Pryde have the ability to send a person's conscious back in time? I mean, that's not her primary power, but okay, I get it, I guess. They needed some way to get back in the past. I just think that was a little too convenient for the story, in my opinion. It was still fine, though. That was just a minor little complaint. Also, I feel we didn't get enough of a lot of the characters in the future, which I briefly mentioned. We really didn't get enough of Storm. I know this movie was set primarily in the past, and that is what was going on. Everything in the past, that is what mattered in this movie. That was the main storyline. But I still would have loved to have seen more of Storm and Iceman and Kitty Pryde and all the other X-Men characters that were in the future. Old Xavier and Eric, excuse me. Also, Bishop was a new addition to the cast for this movie, and he was just glazed over, in my opinion. I know he was a major character in the comics. I thought he looked pretty cool, but he really wasn't given much to do, which was a little upsetting. But other than that, didn't have too many more problems. Like I said, I felt the Sentinels needed some more action scenes in the scene on the White House lawn with the stadium and Magneto. I felt they could have been involved more, in my opinion. I just would have liked that. I thought the future Sentinels were pretty badass. They started killing off the X-Men in the future, but the past Sentinels really didn't show me that much, and they looked a lot cooler, in my opinion. And finally, that last scene with Mystique saving Wolverine from the ocean. Now, she disguised herself as Stryker, and that scene, I really didn't get that scene all that much. Not because I thought it would have been just better had Mystique not been disguised as Stryker, and that was really Stryker. That would have made sense, and it would have set us up for X-Men Origins Wolverine, because in the end Stryker ended up experimenting. Stryker did that program with Wolverine in X-Men Origins, and it turns out that it was Mystique who really saved Logan from the water. So that scene was a little odd, in my opinion. And I had one other thing I wanted to say, and I completely forgot about it. I said the thing about the bone claws. Yeah, I forget. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah. Now I know that Bryan Singer, fixed the wrongs of X-Men: The Last Stand, and he fixed some of the wrongs of Origins, but there is one inconsistency with Origins. There's still a few inconsistencies throughout the whole series, without a doubt. There is one major inconsistency, though, with Days of Future Past and X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine, William Stryker, which was set in like 1979, 1980s, William Stryker was played by Danny Huston, who was obviously about middle-aged. Now, the Stryker in this movie is played by a very young guy. Had I felt they cast an older guy to play Stryker, that scene would have made perfect amount of sense to me, in my opinion. Stryker and Wolverine would have gone on those missions they went on with Sabretooth and with everybody else. Who else? Wade, all of them. Agent Zero, they would have gone on all those missions and would have led up to Origins. I just thought, had they cast an older Stryker, that Stryker's presence in the movie would have made a lot more sense to me, and it would have been a lot less inconsistent with Origins. But nevertheless, I still liked it. So yeah, I basically described everything, all my thoughts on the movie, guys. I went in depth a little bit with the spoilers and the scenes that I really liked. Like I said, my favorite scene is definitely the Paris scene. It was the most tense, in my opinion. My next favorite scene would probably have to be the Pentagon breakout scene, where they tried to break Magneto out, because Quicksilver was awesome. And yeah, guys, that's basically all I have to say about this movie. But it was so fun and entertaining, so well edited, and so well written. My goodness, this movie was excellently written, in my opinion. It was just great. The ending, the whole middle, the climax, it was just fantastic, in my opinion. So I really love Days of Future Past. Highly recommend it. I hope my spoiler review sold a few of you who were hesitant about the movie. I don't know why you would watch this though if you haven't seen the movie yet. I just spoiled the whole damn thing for you. But anyway, guys, let me know down below in the comments. And in this video, it's okay. You can go on full spoiler talk. You can discuss everything that you want to discuss in regards to spoilers. Go into spoiler territory. It's fine. This is a spoiler review. So anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, you should be aware not only of the video but also of the comments. So let me know what you thought on the movie, guys. What was your favorite scene in the movie? What did you think of the ending? What did you think of everything that went on in this movie? Let me know down below. And thanks a lot for watching my spoiler review. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for watching. Bye.